Never mind.
Got it.
Whatever.
I gotcha. Okay, good meme.
All right. That's it. I hope Hassan gets dragged over the coals, and I hope that every fucking journalist that doesn't retract their lie, right? I mean, it's just untrue. It's not true. He wasn't questioned for 2 hours. Yeah. So I hope they retract it. I hope they get fucking... Yeah. All right. Click. Yep. Oof. Not good, Hassan. Parker. I don't know. Apparently calling him Parker gets him mad. All right. Yeah.
Okay. You should call him Hassan Piper.
Oh my God.
Because he pipes down.
And then like it's just like Ken Klippenstein and all these. You know what? I gotta pull it up. Ken Clipper. You hate this guy, right?
Do I?
I don't know. Do you?
I don't think so.
Wait. I thought we hated this guy.
Maybe I do. I don't remember the name. I don't know. Oh, yeah, probably.
Okay. Good. We're there. We got there quick. Like, it's just crazy. Like, the complete lack of... I'd be a fucking base journalist because I would spend 5 minutes before I publish something. Most of the time. Not always. I'd fuck up a lot. I'd have a lot of corrections.
This is like such a lie. This whole Hassan Piker, an American citizen, was singled out and interrogated on Sunday at Chicago O'Hare. Singled out. Wait,
only
he was the only person there.
For the
they
whole
literally
day.
had the Hassan Piker torture room, okay?
Yep.
Who is of Turkish background, was returning to the U.S. after a trip to Paris for 2 brutal hours. For 2 brutal hours, Customs and Border Protection detained him and asked him whether he supported Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthi rebels in Yemen, according to Hassan's account. My God.
Why? I'm not going to keep going. I just don't know why not a single journalist is like, hey, so it looks like you were only there for...
Because they're hungry. They're so hungry for this story.
For an hour total.
They didn't even bother to check.
Not even the most basic bitch shit. Whatever. Whatevs. NBD. Jank. That's how you say it, right? It's not sink.
Like buildings.
It's jank.
Like this is jank.
Like jankety.
What the fuck is jankety?
Like if the thing's like not put together well, it's like kind of jankety.
That's jank.
No, it's jankety.
It's jank. That shit's all janky, bro.
Jankety.
No, you're saying with an E. It's definitely an A.
Jankety.
It's jank. That shit's jank, dog.
Okay.
For real. Border agents detaining and interrogating my nephew proves 2 things. They are targeting U.S. Oh my God.
Targeting?
Can you believe that border agents are targeting U.S. citizens? Because this is unheard of. I have never heard of a border agent.
Never be screened if you're a U.S. citizen.
No, if you're a U.S. citizen, they just let you through with no screening. The fact that they are targeting U.S. citizens, this is the first I'm hearing of this before.
Like, they used to not subject us to screening at all.
No, they would just, oh, I'm sorry, sir. U.S. passport, go on through. I'm sorry I looked your way. I can't believe it that they are targeting U.S. citizens. This is news to me.
It's fucking bullshit.
Okay.
Okay.
That was it. That was my thing for today. How you rate it? How'd I do?
Oh.
How out of a 10? Because there could have been a lot of fuck ups in there. Time zones, that was frisky.
I give it a 6.8 out of 10.
Not even a 7?
Everything is a 7. I'll give it a 6.8 out of 10. Only reason I rated highly.
It's even very...
I rated highly because you got all the facts right.
Yes.
But then I rated lowly because Hassan's lie was just so low effort and shitty that it was like...
But nobody knew to say anything.
Yeah, I know. But it was like not that much. It was like look up one fact. It's like, oh, this is total bullshit.
Yeah.
But I give it, I think 6.8.
But I did a nice infographic.
Okay, 7.1.
Well, not me. I had my people do it.
Oh,
okay,
6.7.
No. I was very influential in the creation of the infographic. A lot of insights I was given. Like I was like, you should move that over here. You know, the Sonic thing. That was me. I said I wanted to have a thing with the whole thing calling this Sonic the Hedgehog mode. Here,
I'm gonna start flying back through with like fucking ticking clocks and shit in my carry-on. See if I can get pulled over every question and then make a story out of it.
Look, on the graph. God. Okay, on this graph, what I wanted to do, it wasn't here. I was gonna have a thing. You see how we have all these lines here below? I was gonna have it so that there was a line here, like connecting the green and the orange one, and it was gonna be called Sonic the Hedgehog mode. And it's like if he just teleported there. Worst case scenario.
Why do you keep saying Sonic the Hedgehog?
Because he goes fast.
Yeah, but that's not teleporting.
He teleports when he goes through the rings.
That's Not him teleporting, unless the ring's teleporting somebody.
He's getting teleported.
Why not pick somebody who actually teleports?
Because he goes fast and he teleports.
It's Sonic. It's not Turkish at all.
Who could it be? Go. Get your racism mindset on.
It could have been Janissary, Turkish superhero, DC Comics.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, we're off of Hassan. All of you guys who hate Hassan, we're moving on to the next thing.
I am extremely masochistic and I'm not slave-minded, so just to set the groundwork here, let's go through a few of the common lies that Andrew likes to repeat. For example, anyone familiar with Andrew knows that chess plays a huge role in his brand and persona, and he often uses the game as a metaphor for life. And I do too, as I think it perfectly illustrates just how much of a liar Andrew really is, because one of the biggest lies Andrew often tells is that his late father, Emery Tate, was supposedly a chess grandmaster.
My father is a chess master. My father was a chess grandmaster.
My father was a chess grandmaster. I was on track to become a chess grandmaster. So
he was a legitimate chess grandmaster.
my father was the highest rated black chess player in history.
Really?
Yeah. So my father was a big G in chess.
My father was a grandmaster.
My father was a chess master.
My father was a chess grandmaster. My father was a chess grandmaster.
If you didn't know, a chess grandmaster is one of the best chess players in the world, and it's the highest rank that you can achieve in chess besides world champion. To put this into perspective, there's only about 2,000 grandmasters in the entire world, and there's hundreds of millions of players. Andrew's father, Emery, was in fact an excellent chess player. He was an international master, which is the rank below grandmaster, but he was never a grandmaster. And because Andrew lies so often that he can't even keep track of his own lies, Emery Tate's real chess rank was recently confirmed by Andrew himself.
What would you call your yacht? Everybody has a name for their yacht. What would you call yours?
The international master. Which is not a girl's name, but my father was an international master of chess. My father was an international master of chess.
So even though all of those clips are from after Emery Tate unfortunately passed away almost a decade ago, according to Andrew, his father was both an international master and a grandmaster.
I really, truly, truly believe that I'm just very honest. I don't think I'm any worse than most other men. I just think I tell the truth.
Lying about something so small like this only serves Andrew one purpose. It's an attempt at trying to make his past seem more interesting and inspiring than it really was. Or maybe it's just the brain damage kicking in.
My CTE acting up. Wait a minute.
Staying on the topic of chess, Andrew also makes up this insane lie about how he was the under-16 Indiana State chess champion at just 5 years old.
So you played a lot as a kid.
I was state chess champion age 5 in Indiana, the under 16s. I was the youngest to ever win it. I remember I was sitting there across from some 16-year-old. When you're like 5 and a half, that's scary, right? And I remember when I beat him, he cried. That made me happy.
So, fresh out of pre-K, Andrew was better at chess than people more than triple his age. Obviously, this is a complete lie. Anyone with an internet connection can find Andrew's verifiable US chess record at the link I've provided below, and according to the records, there wasn't even an under-16 tournament that Andrew participated in. Not only was Andrew not the under-16 Indiana State chess champion at the age of 5, there isn't even a single record of Andrew winning any chess tournament ever in the US. In fact, he was actually kind of mid. And once again, this guy can't even keep his own damn story straight. In this tweet right here, he claims that he won the under 12 competition when he was 5, and then, in this old podcast he did before he was famous, he changed the age yet again.
When I was in the under 15s in Indiana, I won the state chess championship at 5 years old, the youngest to ever win it.
This has to be under investigation! Someone...
When the alleged chess prodigy grew up, he naturally went on to become a world champion kickboxer, and Andrew used to lie about being a K1 kickboxing world champion on his old Twitter bio, as you can see here.
My Twitter always gets banned. It's a weird handle right now because it always gets banned. It's Ofwudan, Ofwudan.
If you didn't know, K1 used to be one of the top kickboxing organizations in the entire world. But if you check his website now, you can clearly see that none of his old kickboxing world champion belts are from K1. 3 of his belts are from ISKA, and 1 of them is from Infusion. And neither of those 2 organizations are generally recognized as elite level competition like Glory or K1 in its heyday. And that's exactly why one of the most accomplished kickboxers of Andrew's generation, Gabriel Varga, didn't even know who Andrew Tate was before he became a famous content creator.
But I have had many subscribers say, what do you think about Andrew Tate? Is this guy a real kickboxer? And I kind of went, well, I've never heard of him. And I just didn't bother looking him up because I went, if I haven't heard of somebody, chances are it's not that important for me to actually go and critique them. They haven't really done anything of note.
The reason why Gabriel didn't have a clue who Andrew was is because Andrew was never one of the best kickboxers in the world, as the title world champion would normally indicate. Because in kickboxing, they hand out belts like McDonald's hands out Happy Meal toys. So, although getting any sort of belt is definitely still a great achievement in life, it only makes you a world champion by technicality.
World champion of what?
Nothing.
Now, I'm not saying Andrew was a bad kickboxer, but he's just not as good as he claims he was.
You ever been knocked out cold?
I've been knocked out cold once.
We actually. What was that like? Like, what is?
Only once in 87 fights, which is good for a career. I've been knocked out cold once. Only once in 87 fights.
Because his alleged 76-9 record isn't from consistently fighting guys who are the best of the best. In fact, a lot of Andrew's recorded fights were against straight-up tomato cans. His last fight was against a literal teenager.
Who the f*** is that guy?
This should be a hate crime, not a sanctioned fight. And if you go on Andrew's Wikipedia page and look at his record, only 4 of the guys he's ever fought even have their own page. So is Andrew technically a world champion kickboxer? Yes, but a paper champion. Because his world championship kickboxing belts are the equivalent of me beating Neon in a boxing match, then going on and claiming to be an undefeated pro boxer. Would it technically be true? Sure, but it's not really as impressive as it sounds.
Am I wrong about that? I think I'm kind of right about that.
In my opinion, the most blatantly disrespectful lie that Andrew has told to the general public is that he's bald by choice.
Why are you bald?
I shaved all my hair off, and I'll tell you why. Because people make fun of me for being bald. Hey, you're bald. As in, like, I haven't noticed.
Right.
Well, yeah, correct. Yeah, I shave my head 3 times a week. Like, so I could grow hair back as beautiful as yours.
Thank you.
I'm not missing my hair at all. My hairline's fine. I could grow my I could have full head of hair like Tristan if I decided to.
I'm not even gonna waste my breath refuting this one.
What's this, you fucking piece of shit? What's this? Huh? What's this, motherfucker? What's this? Huh?
But look, I know I've made some jokes in the past on this channel, but now that I'm getting a little older and my hairline is starting to move back to the 50-yard line, I've come to the realization that I actually love bald people. But what I just can't stand is bald people who lie about their ability to grow a full head of hair, then come out of jail after months of not being able to shave their head, looking like this.
How do I look, yellow man?
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
Andrew also lies about why he moved from the UK to Romania. He tries to say that it's because he has some sort of issue with the West.
Why do you choose to live there?
In Romania?
Yeah, I know you have like businesses and things going on there, but why there?
There's something that very much angers me about the Western world. I don't feel comfortable here. I don't like the way it functions and operates. I think it's the most corrupt, disgusting, degraded societies on earth. There's nothing left besides money and corporate agenda.
That's just not true at all. As we all know, the West is the most amazing, flawless place to live in the entire world.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
The real reason Andrew left the utopian West and moved to Romania was because he was scared of going to jail.
The actual reason why I eventually totally left England, I don't know if I've told this story before. It's because some bitch called the police on me.
You moved your business to Romania just to avoid like Me Too or avoid the kind of Western feminist legislation against.
Bro, I'll come out and say it, man. I got hit with a Me Too case. Fuck the West. Finish. Any man who refuses to leave is a coward. It's a shithole. Get out. I did the right thing. I ran away.
So he moved from England to Romania not because he had some sort of disdain for the West. In my opinion, he moved to Romania because he was scared of being found guilty of the things that he was being accused of in the UK and was attempting to flee justice. There's a very good reason why nobody can name a single other millionaire on this planet who's not a criminal, who's not Romanian, who doesn't even speak Romanian, who has chosen to live in Romania. And hypothetically, even if he didn't move from the UK to Romania to flee justice, he's openly admitted that part of the reason why he moved to Romania is because it gives him easier access to corruption.
If we're going to accept that every single system on the planet is corrupt, why would you live in a place where you cannot access to corruption? Does that make sense, logically? Or would you rather live in a system where you can say, you know what, I am important enough within said society that if the police stop me, I can give them $10 and they'll fuck off?
I'm no expert in criminality, but I would assume that openly bragging about your access to corruption is gonna get your access to corruption taken away sooner rather than later.
The Matrix has attacked me.
Imagine being a 37-year-old man in handcuffs screaming, "The Matrix has attacked me," and people not thinking you're schizophrenic. And why would any honest, ethical man like Andrew even need access to corruption anyways? If you generally follow basic laws and you just make mistakes every now and then, just like everyone else, you wouldn't need to move to a foreign country that you have no actual ties to, with the end goal of having constant access to corruption.
Everyone's afraid of us. And if anyone did piss us off at any point, even if we didn't want to fuck them up ourselves, we can make one phone call and they'd either be in a ditch or lose their any right to stay here, they'd have some visa issue and get kicked out the country, or arrested for no reason and put in a jail cell for months at a time. We are basically as mafia as you can get.
So now that we've established the fact that Andrew is a Weasley little liar, even when it comes to small details, I think the most important thing Andrew lies about is his criminal case. Almost every word that Andrew has ever said about his criminal case has no basis in reality, and while I definitely understand that he wants to defend himself, lying about almost everything in the completely baseless ways that he does is just not a very good strategy.
I was talking to a friend the other day and he was saying, so your charges are you were nice to a girl and asked her to do TikTok and keep the money. I said, no, I didn't ask her to do anything. I was nice to a girl who had a TikTok account, and they're saying I stole the money from the TikTok account. They have no proof of this.
Just so we're all on the same page here, Andrew and his brother Tristan and two of their associates, Luana Radu and Georgiana Nagal, are being charged with human trafficking and forming an organized crime group where they allegedly exploited women by recruiting them under false pretenses and forced them into making explicit content for financial gain. In addition to that, the UK recently issued an arrest warrant for Andrew and his brother, and they're gonna face separate charges of sexual aggression in England. Andrew has also recently been served with a UK civil lawsuit, which includes allegations of rape and sexual assault. So regardless of the outcome of the first case, after the trial in Romania is over, they're going to be extradited to the UK and go through another criminal trial. And on top of that, at the end of the first Romanian indictment, it says there's a second indictment currently being made against the Tates that's going to include charges of money laundering, trafficking in minors, and human trafficking. So I think it's safe to say
they're cooked. They're cooked.
Says Paul Pierce.
We're gonna take them out the oven, put them on the stove, cut them up. I'm gonna serve y'all a couple plates with dessert.
Although everyone should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, I am quite confident in saying that Andrew and Tristan are cooked. And I know that not just because of the evidence in the indictment, but also because of the baseless excuses they invent out of thin air in an attempt to defend themselves. For example, the most common lie Andrew uses to defend himself is that the Romanian case is just about how he helped women gain followers on TikTok for money.
Just to clarify, I am accused of helping my friends get big on TikTok. That is what I'm accused of. I told some girls I know how to post on TikTok to become viral when I was at the time the most viral person on the planet. And they are saying I'm a human trafficker for that reason.
That is just not true at all. Although TikTok is mentioned frequently in the indictment, it is not the primary focus of the case. Andrew is exaggerating its importance as a way to distract his fans from the severity of his alleged crimes. What Andrew and Tristan are accused of is using TikTok as a funnel to get customers, from TikTok and onto OnlyFans. This is confirmed in the indictment where Tristan says, "We need to ensure that these successful TikTok days can translate into more money on OnlyFans. If you give a girl the power to make a lot of money on TikTok, you risk losing her. TikTok should be used to direct money to OnlyFans." So they wanted the girls to use TikTok not as a primary source of revenue, but as a sales funnel to get people onto explicit websites. And the reason why they were doing that is because the Tates had control of the women's accounts on the explicit websites. As evidenced by Tristan's own statement, he wouldn't trust any of the women on OnlyFans with their own passwords or any of the other sites that they were making explicit content on. I don't want to tell them they have OnlyFans. I want that money to be used by me and you. So this shows that they systematically had control over the victims' accounts to ensure that a majority of the revenue generated by the women was going directly to the alleged organized crime group, and not the women themselves.
Women are the easiest to program. You can trick women all day long, right? But I wasn't tricking anyone. I was just saying, look, you can make a bunch of money. I never exploited anybody. I never hit a girl. I never hurt nobody. I didn't even have to raise my voice. I was a positively inspirational and motivating person. I was a pimp.
And by having control over their accounts, they also maximize the victim's dependency on the Tates and minimize the victim's autonomy. And luckily for Andrew, he has previously spoken about maximizing a woman's dependency on himself in order to retain women working for him.
When you start with a girl, you download OnlyFans on your phone. You take her ID pictures, her name, everything it takes to verify the account. You verify the account on your phone and you control the account. So you are now in charge of her OnlyFans.
These girls will scam you. If you let them take full control over their accounts, they will run away. I like to keep the girls' passwords. I log them in and log them out. If you give the girl the password to her account, there's a chance she could run away and try it by herself.
So this case centers around allegations that the Tates formed an organized crime group with the intention of trafficking women to Romania and having them work for them, making explicit content online for financial gain, not just TikTok. But of course, if you ask Andrew, all he ever says is that the case is about TikTok every single time.
The case against me is that I pretended to love girls.
You don't want a girl who's in it for money. You want a girl who's in it to be with you.
To make them do TikTok for money.
I mean, I was all about trying to get paid. Like I used this as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house and make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense. Like I was not trying to have sex with women. I was trying to get women to obey me, and I realized that's easier if they like that. If they don't like having sex with me, it's pretty hard to make them listen to me.
So did somebody else plant this on you?
Oh yeah, the Matrix.
Human trafficking and helping girls make TikToks are two very different things. To put into perspective the severity of the alleged crimes here, one of the victims described herself while working for the Tates as an animal deprived of human rights who had no control over what she was doing. Another victim said that before her relationship with Andrew, she was a happy person, but after, she was unable to trust people or even have a normal romantic relationship. She felt constant pain and guilt. I'm no expert in psychology, but I would assume these statements weren't made because Andrew helped them with TikTok. There are 7 alleged victims in this case, and 5 of them have provided detailed testimonies to the Romanian authorities, which are all quite damning. There are multiple witness testimonies, the Tate's electronics were seized, so the prosecutors have access to all of the Tate's electronic communications, and the case also uses clips of Andrew and Tristan confessing to many of the crimes that they're now being accused of.
Never pitch a girl to me webcam. Never. I've tried it 100 times. I've got lazy. I've been on a date with a girl. She's clearly a hoe. She's done cam before. Like, it ticks every box. I'm like, and before I pitch cam, and they never do it. Oh, no, I don't do that anymore. No, you think I'm this. No, you think that. No, they pretend they're offended, even though they're not. To try and prove to you that they're some kind of good girl. It's bullshit. Fucking first. Do not ever ask a girl to work for you. You have to fuck her. After you fuck her, I wouldn't say no once because you still have to pass the test. Do the test, pass the test, up to 2 or 3 more times. I'd say maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that. Say I'm thinking of starting this business.
One of the things Andrew is being accused of is using the Loverboy method to recruit women into his webcam and OnlyFans business. This strategy is essentially seducing someone under false pretenses such as marriage, and in that clip, he admits that he was intentionally misleading the women that he was trying to recruit because if he didn't mislead them, he wouldn't be able to get what he wants. A great example of Andrew using the Loverboy method to manipulate a woman's women into moving to Romania and working for him is what Andrew did to victim 2. He initially contacted her through Instagram in 2022, presenting himself as interested in a romantic relationship. He even told her during their first ever meeting that he was looking for a woman to marry, and through text he would say things like,
"You have to understand that once you're mine, you'll be mine forever. A woman never leaves her man. I'll be the last man in your life. First, I need to see in your eyes that you can never live without me, and then I can trust you to show you everything. Can you be loving enough to be a wife? To be always by my side, wherever I go. Do not talk to any men except me."
Over time, he convinced her to move to Romania by saying that they would live together, but when she actually got to Romania, Andrew wasn't even there, and instead she was moved into a house with victims 6 and 7, who she described as brainwashed and do whatever Andrew and Tristan asked them to do. And after a few weeks, victim 2 realized that her movements were restricted, and she was only able to leave the house if she was accompanied by others. And over time, she was eventually convinced into creating content for OnlyFans, which she was initially very reluctant to do. And despite Andrew's initial promises of exclusivity and marriage, over time Andrew's behavior shifted to a cruel form of manipulation, as at one point in the relationship, Andrew started referring to her as his slave, which enforces strict obedience, specifically in the context of someone being restricted in where they can go. Luckily, victim 2 was able to escape the situation in 2022 with the help of law enforcement, but ultimately that is a completely unnecessary problem for someone to have in life. Nobody should require law enforcement to help them leave a job that they didn't consent to doing in the first place. And to add insult to injury, at that time, Andrew was actively teaching his fans how to use the Loverboy method to exploit other women in the same way he did to victim 2. Andrew used to sell an interesting product on his website called the PhD program, which stands for Pimping Hose Degree, and in this PhD program, he just so happened to teach others how he would use the Loverboy method to manipulate women for monetary gain. My job was to get women to fall in love with me. Literally, that was my job. My job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, test if she's quality, get her to fall in love with me to where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam. Quite damning if you ask me, and when Andrew was asked directly about the PhD program, he claimed that it was satire.
Why did you call it a PhD, Pimping Hose Degree?
No, you're talking about an old video which was made satirically.
Why did you call it that? Oh, that was satire.
Of course it was.
Selling a course for almost $500 is not satire. It's an unironic attempt to produce income and take advantage of gullible and socially inept young men. That's why before Andrew was famous, he was unironically shilling the PhD like his life depended on it.
You need my PhD course, because the PhD course teaches you how to obtain, retain, and satisfy women. On CoverTake.com, I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a Pimpin' Hose Degree.
Clever.
That teaches basically how I got girls, how I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me. Because that's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me. And that's how I got rich. So that teaches everything I know from start to finish about not only getting girls, not only obtaining them, but retaining them. Because that's a completely different game as well. The PhD course, the Pimpin' Hose Degree, was teaching people how I managed females in those scenarios. How I controlled their emotions, how I convinced them to work and give me most of their money, how I convinced them to share me with other women, why they obeyed me.
Notice how in those clips, he's not describing normal relationships with women, he's describing a systematic way of controlling women, kind of like a pimp.
I've had guys come to me all the time and go, "You're a fucking pimp." Like I'm supposed to be like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, I am, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm a pimp."
With that being said, let's take a look at how this self-admitted pimp's employees were being treated while they were working for him.
Anyone who watches State Confidential knows I'm all over the place. So I end up with all these chicks just stuck in their house, sitting there, bored, completely in love with me. And of course, they don't go out. They're not allowed out. Like, oh, Tate's away, so they go out with their friends. No. You don't go to the club with your friends. I don't know what kind of bitch-ass dude is letting his chicks go to the club with her friends without him. No. You stay in the house. You don't go nowhere. You're not, no restaurants, no clubs, nothing. There's nowhere else I'd rather have my genuinely hot girl than in my fucking bedroom making me money. What the fuck I let her out into the world for?
When I used to hear him say things like that, I thought he was just playing a character or being a more hyperbolic version of himself to get more attention on social media. But that's just not the case, unfortunately. According to the alleged victims themselves, Andrew and his associates would actually restrict the movement and freedom of the women who worked for him as a form of control. Victim 1 claimed that she could not leave without Tristan's permission, and that he threatened threatened to find her and punish her if she attempted to escape. Victim 1 also claimed that under no circumstance would the guards let her out on her own. When she would ask to leave, they would say they don't understand, and even when she pulled out Google Translate to ask them to leave in Romanian, the guards just pretended to not speak any languages at all. Victim 2 claimed that she could not leave on her own or without notifying anyone. Victim 3 claimed that she could not leave the house without their permission, and she literally called the police and claimed to be held against her will. Victim 4 claimed that she wasn't allowed to leave the house alone, and she was always accompanied by someone else. So according to 4 separate victim testimonies, the Tates were restricting the freedom of the women who worked for them. And if these claims are all true, they were most likely doing this because when a trafficking victim's movement is controlled, they become completely dependent on the people restricting them.
I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away. Because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why does she just run off and keep it all for herself?
If you have to make sure a girl can't run away, then you're not running a business, you're running a prison. Andrew has also explicitly bragged about how good he was at getting women to tattoo his name on their skin.
Yeah, getting the girl, fucking the girl is the first 10% of the game. Having a girl tattoo your name on her, is the other 90%.
And how many girls have your name on them now?
22. I got 20. I'm on 22.
22. Oh man.
Again, this isn't just a character he's playing for the camera. This is a real thing that he actually used to do to the women who worked for him. This one says Emery A. Tate on the neck. This one says dedicated to King Tate. This one says Tate owned. And what's most surprising to me is that this behavior of tattooing females is very similar to a well-documented practice often used by human traffickers and pimps.
Survivors who get away from traffickers are often left with a permanent reminder of captivity. Tattoos or property, markings that show just they have a number, not a name, or who they belong to.
In addition to allegedly branding and restricting his female employees' movements, by his own admission, he would lie to and manipulate these women so they would continue working for him.
Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money and give you the money. So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence, and you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you. And this is extremely important, because at the beginning she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive, that she can't do this without you, to ensure that she doesn't do it without you.
So his necessity to work with the women was not through providing mutually beneficial value. His intention was to create a fallacy that the women needed Andrew to do this business and that they couldn't do it without him. A perfect example of this manipulative behavior is shown in Andrew's chat logs from the war room with a woman named Jasmina. The girl who moved lost her support networks at home, cemented her move, talking about staying forever, can't wait for me to come back, etc. So I had to tighten the screw. So I said somebody in her old town told me she worked in a sex club. I literally totally made this up from the sky. Here's a screenshot proving that he actually did this, and at one point she literally says, "I'm freaking crying alone in a room," which is just cruel given the fact that this entire thing was based on a lie. Started calling her a liar and threatening to kick her out. But the real goal is for her to never go anywhere without me, not even her hometown. I need her working, not visiting friends back in her hometown. So in his own words, he was using threats to isolate the women working for him, like Jasmina. And on top of that, once he would get the women to start working for him, he also admitted to straight up scamming them by just lying about paying taxes.
Tax is also another important element of controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid for Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody.
Oh, okay, so if you just get paid in Bitcoin, you never have to pay taxes.
Because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody. You need to tell the girl they pay tax. Because girls are lazy. Girls are stupid. And girls don't understand how taxes work. So the girl's working with you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure you don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay. Now that allows you to do two things. One, it's another control element. If I work with him, my tax is not problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. Control element. Secondly, it allows you to pay her a smaller percentage. So I have to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 I made, I give them 30. I keep 7. They thought they were on 50%. And
And I said that the disparity is because of taxes.
Andrew isn't exactly the best guy to be giving tax advice because, as of me writing this, the Tate brothers are on trial right now for evading income taxes in the UK for about $27 million. So clearly this Bitcoin scheme didn't exactly work out. But believe it or not, this tax advice somehow gets even dumber.
Really, you're paying 30, tell them you're paying 50, difference in the tax. That's the disparity of taxes. If they don't leave it, they want to correct whatever, that's a tax bill. What is it? It's the tax, you'll pay the tax now. Sign away. They think something real is happening. Something's happening. So, tax is another thing.
So he was scamming the women who were working for him by just lying, but at least he treated the customers well, right?
You got to put a loose on it. So I'm trying to teach these women, and the women can't do it enough. So I said to them, like, you know what? I'm taking over. So what I did is I unplugged their keyboards and plugged a new one in from me behind the screen. So the chicks would sit there and hit a keyboard that wasn't plugged in. And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking. The girls were just pure, just famoosers, just laughing and doing this. The titties out. And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it. And they come and say, what kind of, all of it. We were fucking milking them dry. Milking them dry.
According to this now self-proclaimed Muslim man, his aroused male customers thought they were speaking to these women on the screen, but in reality, they were speaking to a 6'3" bald man who, by his own admission, was trying to milk them dry.
They're people without morals. And if you have no morality on a long enough time scale, God will teach you a lesson. They're fucking morally bankrupt individuals. They're just sitting there typing, and I'd type 16, 17 hours a day. I put, let's say, 3 grand a day, 4 grand a day. So that became my new life, right? I went from kickboxer to fucking pretend girl on the internet.
Hey, yo, that's crazy. I was going to let it slide, but that was just a little bit. The thing about it is he knew it himself.
So now that we've established the fact that he was scamming almost everyone involved with this webcam company, from the Romanian government to the women working for him to the virgins buying his content, I want to get into some of the other lies that Andrew often tells in an attempt to defend himself publicly. For example, Andrew often claims that there are no victims in this case and that the women themselves have come out and publicly said that they aren't victims.
The girls who they've identified to add to the file are saying that we're not victims of anything and this isn't true. But the state believes it's true. The two victims who the DCOT are accusing me of using Loverboy method on have made videos saying, he just told us how to do social media, we're not victims.
And for once, there's actually a little bit of truth there. Two women have come out and stated that they aren't victims and that the Tates are good guys.
There are no victims in this case, and I am not a victim. And I feel it's very unfair that my family and friends are being held as prisoners for crimes they didn't commit.
In addition to this, in the indictment, it also says victims 6 and 7 haven't identified themselves as victims. However, in the very next sentence, it clarifies that the evidence presented has shown that these two individuals were exploited. The prosecutors reference a Romanian law which states the consent of the victim of trafficking does not constitute a justifying cause. And one thing that doesn't help the Tate's case is that these two women have both been branded by the Tate brothers with tattoos.
It's written Tate.
Yeah, it is.
Why?
I have lots of tattoos, different ones.
And if that wasn't bad enough, while Andrew was in jail, he went on a recorded line and specifically told his cousin Luke to get these two women to make videos defending him and his brother. So in my opinion, those videos made by the women defending the Tates don't hold much weight, as they've been specifically instructed to make those videos. And on top of that, according to the prosecution, Andrew transported these two women to Dubai, a place which coincidentally doesn't have an extradition treaty with Romania. And hypothetically, even if these two women aren't victims of anything, the 5 other alleged victims are real people who've given real testimonies to the Romanian authorities. And in my opinion, they shouldn't be discredited completely based on the statements of 2 women who were specifically instructed to defend the Tates. Another straight up lie Andrew likes to try and purport is that he hasn't been involved in the webcam business for an extended period of time.
First off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it, I think 8 to 9 years ago I stopped. It was a long time ago. It was at the early stages of the internet. 10 years ago, I helped women promote their profiles on the internet. Correct. 10 years ago. Firstly, I have not been involved with it for 7 years. It's not how I make money. I haven't touched it for a very long time. I believe girls who get constantly naked on the internet are not empowering themselves. They're actually embarrassing themselves. I do believe that. Did I once profit from that 15 years ago? Yes.
First of all, this guy needs to get his damn story straight. Was it 7, 8, 9, 10, or 15 years ago?
It's none of them.
Reason why he can't remember exactly how long ago it was is because he's lying every single time. Here's a tweet from 2020 where he explicitly says, "Me and my 8 girls counted over $1 million this month in webcam revenue." Here's another one from 2020 where he says, "I own a webcam studio. It's no secret. I've never tried to hide it." I don't know how much more clear you could possibly be than that, but here's Andrew admitting that he scaled his webcam business back up during the pandemic.
Corona came, it was locked down, my casinos were closed, so I lost an income. I was making $500,000 a month from casinos. That closed, because they're physical locations in Romania. And I thought, well, everyone's at home bored, let me get the webcam going again. So I got 20 more girls online, we scaled that back up to $300,000 or $400,000 a month. So I got back into the game hard.
These guys are genuinely psychotic when it comes to the lies that they tell on video. Tristan was still receiving income from webcam sites in August of 2022, which was just 4 months before their arrest. And in this tweet here, Luana was advertising her OnlyFans just a few days before the arrest. So for Andrew to pretend like all of this irrefutable evidence that he knows for a fact is out there equates to being 7, 8, 9, 10, or 15 years ago is just disrespectful to the general public.
That's why I'm top G. Everything I say is fucking true all the time.
In my opinion, the most absurd lie that Andrew tells is that the reason he's been arrested for human trafficking is because it's all just some Matrix attack on him and that he's completely innocent of everything.
If you're a man like me who stands up and tells the truth, they already know you're guilty. So they're like, oh, okay, he's guilty of something. Teach him a lesson. I was in jail because I spoke against power, because I told the truth about COVID, because I told the truth about the war in Ukraine, because I told the truth about all of these things.
I don't understand why people would want to put you in jail for giving your opinions about COVID or Ukraine. Why would they?
Why wouldn't they?
It's insane to me that Andrew thinks he can look a 60-year-old man directly in the eyes and tell him that he's been charged with human trafficking because of his personal opinions on COVID and Ukraine. His opinions on either of those two issues are not in any way groundbreaking, and opinions are not even close to the reason why he went to jail. Andrew got his home raided in April of 2022 because of a report to the Romanian police about the unlawful deprivation of liberty involving victim 1 and others, which then led to further investigations into more serious offenses. April of 2022 was months before Andrew even became famous in the summer of 2022, so that fact alone discredits the Matrix narrative 100%.
And by the way, there's no fucking Matrix. Okay, the Matrix is get me this, get me that, hold. Bullshit. Your own words, your own actions is what's putting you where you are.
Who would have thought the alpha male self-help guru would actually take some accountability for his own actions, but instead he just chooses to deflect all of his personal problems onto a group of people that he's too scared to even define publicly.
I don't really want to talk too much in depth about who I think they are, because I'm trying to stay alive and I would never kid myself.
Who's they? Who's the bad guy?
Well, instead of saying who, what I will start by saying is what they do.
What is the Matrix?
The Matrix are a bunch of people who can come up with studies from the sky to say anything they want.
What's it got to do with anything?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I've watched almost every Andrew Tate interview on YouTube, and I still don't know exactly what or who the Matrix are. The guy is literally fighting against an imaginary enemy. And I gotta give Andrew some credit, the Matrix is the ultimate gaslighting tool. Everything bad that happens to him in life can just be blamed on this inexplicable group, but anything good that happens to him is because of his general excellence in life.
To disagree with me, the step to me in any regard is only to discredit yourself. Because if you cannot acknowledge my supreme abilities and undeniable achievements, then you're nothing but a hater. If you're a hater, you're a little...
And by positioning himself against this so-called Matrix, he's shifting the blame for his own actions onto the undefinable group of people, which allows him to create a narrative where no matter what happens, he's the target of an orchestrated injustice and therefore a victim. And this works because he's actually done an excellent job of positioning himself as a martyr. He's one of the top anti-establishment voices in the entire world. He's positioned himself against PC culture, and one thing that actually helps him in terms of being a martyr is that he actually has been targeted and banned by large social media platforms, which is a classic David vs. Goliath story. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's being unfairly targeted in terms of his criminal case. Andrew is not telling some forbidden or secret knowledge that cannot be shared with the general public. He's just really good at gaslighting his fans, which is why before he was arrested, he made sure to predict his arrest and primed his audience to oppose that arrest without critically examining it.
You get 3 lives when you attack powerful people. They first ban you and try and shut you up. Secondly, they'll put you in jail for something you didn't do. And thirdly, they'll kill you. So I've used my first life, which is kind of upsetting when you know that next is going to be some false charges.
The 2 worst ones.
Yeah, if you survive the false charges, you just die.
Imagine I never told the world 25 times they're going to put me in jail for no reason. Like, the second I went to jail for no reason, that helped me a lot. So I'm kind of predicting the future as a shield.
Once again, this is just gaslighting. The real reason why he was able to tell his fans he was going to get put in jail unfairly is because after the April 2022 raid, he knew for a fact that he was being investigated, and he most likely also knew that he's done some shady stuff in the past, which is why he started hinting at the fact that he would get arrested for no reason as a way to counter the inevitable.
Anybody who stands up and speaks loudly up against the Matrix, if you do it too loud, too long, sooner or later they see you as a problem, they want you to go away. And there's 3 stages to that. First, they try and delete you everywhere and cancel you like they've done to me. The second stage is put you in jail for no reason. And the third stage is to plead.
And by preemptively declaring any future arrests as baseless, Andrew positioned himself as the victim of a conspiracy rather than a suspect under legitimate scrutiny.
If I was telling men to put a wig on and become a girl, I wouldn't be going through any of this legal trouble. Not a single drop of it.
And by the way, Tristan is not just some innocent bystander in all of this. He is just as bad, if not worse, than Andrew.
Don't forget, my girls were making us money too. I was doing the exact same thing, just for the record.
I have recruited, I think, although you've worked with a lot, more girls into, I guess, the adult entertainment industry than anyone else. I really have.
I used to think Tristan was the more rational and less hyperbolic version of Andrew, who was just along for the ride, but as usual, I was wrong. This guy is a complete monster. Here's a tweet from his old Twitter account.
On Twitter, just type in "The Talisman Lives." My @ is Lives Talisman. You can find all my opinions there.
And before Tristan was famous, he also used to be very transparent about the fact that he was really into virgin and younger women.
When you run game like me and meet the women who I meet and roll in the circles I meet, you meet beautiful virgins sometimes. Me, I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. There is a tactic which I'm going to share with you on how to date a virgin.
Yeah, we're good on that, bro. This guy looks like he's about 30 years old in this clip, and he's giving lessons on how to go pick up virgin women. And I think the reason why Tristan used to be so openly into younger women is because they're less experienced in dating, which makes them more vulnerable to manipulation and false promises.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17.
I love kids, Charlie. I love kids.
Tristan.
I would really not be screaming at the top of your lungs.
That's legal, by the way, here. I don't know if it's 18 years. It's a crazy country.
And the fact that Tristan would target younger women has been confirmed in the indictment as well. There's a text message exchange between Tristan and Luana from 2021, which reads,
"She's good for OnlyFans. You won't teach her TikTok. She's desperate for money. Good. It's good that she's young. We can control her for a while. Yes/okay. I'll work on her."
Again, it can't be that much more clear, but it's not just young women that Tristan treats poorly. Let's take a look at how Tristan treats a woman who literally gave birth to his child. In the indictment, it outlines how the child's caregiver was specifically instructed to not take care of the child if Abigail, the mother of one of Tristan's children, didn't make content for OnlyFans.
That's fucking haram. That's atrocious. That's disgusting.
Now, this could potentially not be 100% true as it's based on a witness testimony, but if I had to bet on it, I'd probably say it's true given the fact that Tristan has a track record of weaponizing his status as the financial provider in relationships against the mothers of his children.
I had to, and this is actually good, I wouldn't, I guess, admit this on a live, but I had to downgrade one of the mothers of my kids from the house she was living in. I need her to understand that you do not, and she was living in a 4-bedroom rented house, and I was paying the rent and all the bills, I pay everything. I said, okay, you know what, you want to put me in that way, that's cool. You have 30 days to get out of that house, here's your new apartment, 2-bedroom. Well, what do you mean? Now your child doesn't have a guardian plan. Well, that's your fault. That is not my fault. Take it to the fucking park.
At a certain point, I think it's fair to say that these guys are just truly despicable human beings. No matter what happened with the mother, there's no good reason that the mother's behavior should be making the life of his own child worse. But what somehow does get worse is Tristan's behavior. In the indictment, they mention an audio message that Tristan sent in 2020 where he says,
"Primarily, I'm going to work these BES like slaves. I'm going to change blank and make them work more hours, and hours. I work them like slaves. No, work like slaves. Minimum 10 or 12 hours a day."
And Tristan's way of defending this absolutely indefensible statement was to say this.
"I work these bitches like slaves. Slave work, minimum 10 or 12 hours a day."
That is not true at all.
Bruh.
So
You never said that?
No.
Well, you said it sarcastically.
No, I didn't say it sarcastically at all. That is about my ex-girlfriend cleaning my house.
Looks like lying runs in the family because Andrew and Tristan also spew the exact same garbage regarding their criminal case.
The old webcam studio and the current investigation have 0 strings in between them.
Bold-faced lie. The word webcam is mentioned 75 times in the indictment. The webcam business could not be more relevant to this investigation. Pages 266 and 267 are filled with listings of different webcam sites and the exact accounts that the Tates were in control of. And the reason why these webcam sites and accounts are listed is because they're relevant to the investigation, as they show the Tates' extensive involvement in promoting and managing women on these platforms. So as we can clearly tell, Tristan is an extremely honest man who is completely innocent of everything that he's being accused of. As the great philosopher Liam once said, Tristan is an amazing role model for young men. And on top of that, he's handsome as hell.
I automatically ain't on all handsome niggas. I'm gonna keep it a me. Like, you feel me? Like, cause I'm aight a little bit, but I don't fuck with niggas that's objectively handsome. Like, wow. Like, and he thorough, bro.
And just to make this clear, Andrew and Tristan should be assumed innocent until proven guilty by the court, just like everyone else. But in this specific case, the evidence has been shared with the general public, and
it's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
I obviously can't cover all 300 pages in this one video, but to put this case into perspective, in response to one of Andrew's appeals, the prosecutor himself said this, which essentially says that Andrew is not only involved in human trafficking, but has also studied it and then taught others how to traffic women on social media. And he just so happens to have moved to a country where he thought it'd be easier to get away with certain crimes. The prosecutor also says that if the Tates aren't prosecuted, it'll encourage others to commit similar crimes in Romania. And this is coming directly from one of the people who knows this case the best in the entire world. And while I'm definitely not a Romanian lawyer, I will say this: anyone who says the Tates are 100% innocent of any sort of wrongdoing is either irrationally biased or just hasn't looked into the case enough. Even if you're the biggest Andrew Tate fan in the entire world, I think it is almost impossible to review most of the evidence in this case, in addition to all of the other cases and accusations, and still think that the Tates have done absolutely nothing wrong. This case against them is strong. It's not all just pulled out of thin air. I actually got a parking ticket last week. That was just the Matrix trying to attack me. But in the Tates case, there is lots of documentation. They have thousands of pages of evidence.
There's 12,000 pages of it.
There's 12,000 pages. Well, it doesn't matter.
They have access to all of the CCTV footage in and outside the Tates' home, and on top of that, there is hours and hours of footage out there of the Tates admitting to similar crimes that they're now being charged with.
So if you let the girl be in charge of her own phone contact with members who like her, you are setting yourself up to get scammed. All she has to do is type a sort code and account number to a member, and that has happened to me before. I went to the room, smashed the room up, told her I knew what she did. she sent me all the money, but that has happened to me before.
And lastly, laws aside, the way that they're defending themselves publicly is preposterous, and frankly, it should be a crime in and of itself. All they do is lie and gaslight by saying everything is fake, everything is out of context, it's satire, there are no victims, TikTok, The Matrix, Tooth Fairy, which makes them look as guilty as humanly possible, because whenever someone tries to defend the indefensible, most of the time they just end up looking stupid.
You said slave those bitches. You said slave those bitches. Work them 12 hours or more.
You're a bitch. In my opinion, all of that combined puts the prosecution in a very strong position and the defendants in a very bad position. But at the end of the day, this is a criminal trial and anything can happen. The outcome is never going to be guaranteed one way or another, and it is 100% up to the court to decide whether the Tates are guilty or innocent of what they're being accused of.
Do you ever look around you and just look at the world and feel like, kind of like we're in the Matrix, like there's something missing? Number one enemy of the Matrix. They project a false version of reality in real time that people subscribe to. I'm the enemy of the Matrix. Everything I've ever said about the Matrix is true. Most people are starting to realize and wake up from the Matrix and understand there are no political solutions because it's all a scam and it's all a lie.
Despite Andrew's attempts to blame all of his personal problems on the alleged Matrix, Andrew is actually the one who runs his own Matrix behind closed doors.
And the reason I call it the Matrix is because a false reality is being projected onto humanity, and they do that by controlling narratives.
Andrew's #1 way of controlling narratives is through disinformation. And the main thing that allows him to spread disinformation on a mass scale is the fact that he generally only does softball interviews with partisan hacks like Blandis Owens, Tucker Carlson, and Patrick Griff David, who are all somehow viewed by many as serious political commentators. And I mentioned these three specifically because in all of their interviews with Andrew, what they do is intentionally stay ignorant about the actual facts of the case, and they just take Andrew at his word and barely challenge him, which allows him to spread disinformation to every single viewer.
So what are you charged with? That's a really good question. I'm charged with being the head of an organized criminal group, which is in charge of recruiting girls to make TikTok videos and steal the money from the TikTok views.
Recruiting girls to make TikTok videos and stealing the money. So it's really a financial crime?
Even just asking that question shows how negligent Tucker was about researching the case. And what makes this negligence inexcusable is the fact that Tucker literally took a 12-hour flight to Romania to do that interview. So he could have just done an hour or two of research while he was sitting on a plane by himself, ripping zins and watching Trump speeches.
I'm a guy. I'll tell you right now, this is what I do. I don't do research.
None?
None. No Google search. No Google search, no nothing.
But Tucker chose not to do any research because he's playing team sports. So he prioritizes the best interests of his political allies for monetary gain over the actual truth. Kind of like our friend Candace Owens.
I do think what's happening right now is they are wrongly conflating you having run a webcam business, however long it was ago, to the criminal cases happening in Romania.
Keep in mind, in this exact same interview, Candace claims to have read the indictment on numerous occasions.
And I read the indictment again. I've read the indictment, and I do want to make it clear that is the definition given in the indictment of what they're referring to. And they mention OnlyFans.
Correct.
On the indictment page.
So Candace claims to have read the indictment, but then makes the obviously false claim that the webcam studio is being wrongfully conflated with the current indictment for human trafficking, and then she goes on to allow Andrew to spread whatever propaganda he wants on her platform uncontested.
I'll give a very quick rundown on the case. Everything from these old videos, old clips, my webcam company, things that happened 10 years ago have absolutely nothing to do with the case. Absolutely zero. Anything you see from before 2021 has nothing to do with the case.
None of that is true. Victim 5's testimony is 100% based on her working for Andrew on webcam, and it spans from 2016 through 2018, which last time I checked is before 2021. And some of the old clips from before 2021 are quoted word for word in the indictment. Yet, Candace, who apparently read the indictment, says that these blatant lies are correct. So Candace either lied about reading the indictment on numerous occasions in order to make it seem like she actually did research, or she is lying on purpose to cover for Andrew because it helps her grift to her highly intelligent fan base.
You know who's really slashing the woke army? Candace Owens.
Correct.
I'm just saying, I've seen some clips of her with the saber.
Another great example of Andrew engaging and spreading disinformation is when he faked having lung cancer in March of 2023 for what I would assume was an attempt to flee the country for medical care. What happened was Andrew and his team intentionally leaked medical records claiming that he had lung cancer. Here's Andrew's close friend and doppelganger, Sterling Cooper, confirming in writing that Andrew has cancer. Here's Andrew's other friend and other doppelganger, the sartorial shooter, also confirming that Andrew has cancer. He even specifically says, I was the one driving with him to and from the hospitals in Dubai. And in Andrew's interview with Patrick Bet David, Andrew was asked point blank about when he allegedly got lung cancer in jail.
What about these stories that came out that you've got cancer and lung cancer and then you were poisoned and these matrix attacks?
Yeah, so
are you planting these stories?
No.
Are they making these things
No,
up?
see, the cancer thing is interesting. So when I was having medical scans in Dubai, a scar, a dark spot was identified on my lung, and I had follow-up tests booked for February. So when, after the first 30 days, I called up my PA, and she said, are you coming to Dubai? I said, well, yeah, if they let me go, at the end of these 30 days, I'll come to Dubai for my medical tests. They took that conversation and shown it and used it in court, saying I'm trying to flee the country, I'm trying to escape the judicial system, as motivation for the 7 months arrest, and the judge agreed and locked me in jail, because I said I would go to medical treatment if I was free.
If the two interviewers had done even an ounce of research prior to this interview, they would have known
that's not true. That's not what happened.
Although I'm not a doctor, these documents clearly state that he had a suspicious lesion that could have possibly been cancer, not that he has cancer. Yet, two close associates of Andrew's said that it was definitively cancer on the exact same day, proving that this was a coordinated lie that they spread. And just 2 days later, Andrew tweeted, I do not have lung cancer, so which one is it? In my opinion, this proves that this cancer story was intentionally spread disinformation that they later had to walk back because it didn't work in terms of allowing Andrew to leave Romania. So while I definitely don't expect anyone to do dozens of hours of research just to have a conversation with Andrew, if you're going to LARP as a political commentator who's doing a serious interview with him, maybe just an hour or two on the way over would be sufficient. Otherwise, you're choosing to take part in Andrew's disinformation campaign for monetary gain. And I think it's safe to say that Tucker, Candace, and PBD have all made tons of money by allowing Andrew to deliberately spread disinformation on their platforms.
I think a lot of men live in a world now today where they have to lie. In fact, I would basically guarantee 99% of men are lying.
If you're Andrew, it's more like 100% of the time, because this man will do and say just about anything in order to manipulate the minds of his followers and try and escape justice. For example, in December of 2023, Andrew tried to use his dying grandmother as a reason to flee Romania. As you can see here from this bounty that they put out in the real world, they were offering money to the 20 people who made the most viewed videos under the specific instructions that were provided. And this bounty actually worked. Back in December of 2023, I remember seeing one of these videos.
Andrew Tate's grandmother is seriously ill and dying. Let me explain. Due to her illness, she is unable to travel. Her last wish is to see the Tate brothers one last time. However, the American embassy is holding them back from visiting America, even though Andrew and Tristan are American citizens. Why is America not letting this happen? Are they so cruel that they will restrict a man from visiting his own family one last time? Comment to spread the news.
By having their followers create these PR stunt videos on their behalf, the Tates were trying to influence public perception of the case and leverage diplomatic pressure against the American embassy to pressure them into helping the Tates leave Romania, which in my opinion is just silly because there's really not much the American government could do to help them. They've allegedly broken the laws in a foreign country, and the Romanians are investigating and enforcing their own laws, which they have every right to do, especially given Andrew and Tristan's blatant disrespect to them.
Oh no, not court in Romania. The internationally respected Romanian court. What do we do? The corrupt institution, as we all know. Dude, put me in jail? Put me in jail. You put me in jail, I'm gonna walk in there with a pile of money like this. Guard. Boom, 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 boom.
If only the Romanian police took bribes. I mean, what a wonderful world that would be.
Of course it's unjust. There's no justice in Romania, unfortunately.
Andrew also claimed that his mother had a heart attack in another attempt to flee Romania.
Well, I had a heart attack. Get the fuck up. What's wrong with you? Go to hospital later. Have a drink. cigarette, cup of coffee, get back in the game. Fucking having heart attacks near me, little pussy.
And just like every other sentence that comes out of Andrew's mouth, he completely lied about his mother having a heart attack. According to the court, what actually happened is that his mother called an ambulance after experiencing an undisclosed medical emergency and received an EKG and a cardiac checkup, and she was later discharged. She did not have a heart attack or any sort of life-threatening medical condition which would require the Tates to leave the country. So although I hope his mother stays healthy and is okay, yet again, Andrew created false information out of thin air and tried to weaponize that false information against the Romanian government for what I would assume was an attempt to escape justice.
What I don't understand is why anybody listens to anything they say.
I know, it is
because they've been caught lying so many times.
In addition to constantly spreading false information to try and flee Romania, in an article written by BuzzFeed, they claimed that a group of 4,500 bot accounts tweeted in support of Andrew around the same time that he was arrested in December of 2022. Fake accounts were defined as those who had less than 10 followers and were created within the last 3 months, which is actually a really smart strategy because, as we all know, justice in Romania is determined by how many likes your Twitter posts get and not by the court. And having to artificially boost up his numbers through bot accounts shows that Andrew wants to appear more famous and well-liked than he really is. It's an attempt at creating social proof to influence public perception positively, which he seems to have some sort of an unhealthy obsession with.
My team analyzed the comments in every single video I ever made. I get reported every single day. The entire internet, what's good, what's bad, etc. 99% of the comments, anything I ever do is positive. 90% of comments on my videos are positive. When I got the report from my team and they said 99.4%, I have my own team monitoring social media comments in real time. 99.9% of all comments are on my side. The majority of comments regarding me are still positive. My team analyzed it in real time. All the comments are on my side.
The news movement, which has done a great job of covering Andrew, interviewed one of his former employees named Eli Anto. And Eli also claimed that Andrew and his team use bot accounts on social media websites.
We have many Twitter employees, we have Instagram employees, TikTok employees. When we want to, we can delete an account. But our preferred method of choice, because deleting is kind of harsh. For small accounts, we can just mark them, and that's it, and nobody really cares. But for bigger accounts, we use a thing called PR marketing campaigns, and they're simple, meaning that we have big accounts that side with us, we have many smaller, real-looking, human-like accounts.
So if you tweet something against Tate online, both big accounts with ties to the war room and smaller bot accounts will challenge you with a pro-Tate narrative.
Whatever the perceived attack is on the Tate brand, that the marketing, the post, the tweet, the thread, whatever is purporting, we counter that with our Tate bots. We get big accounts to slander the person that's making that thread, or that tweet, or that post.
And now that we have pretty strong evidence that Andrew has previously used bot accounts to artificially increase his numbers on social media, who's to say he's not botting on other things? Obviously, he is extremely famous and well-known regardless, but why should anyone trust that he has 9.6 million real Twitter followers when we know that he's most likely used bots on social media in the past?
I will not compromise my integrity. The one thing people know when they look at me is I'm an integral person. I certainly have morals.
Because Andrew has such good morals, he also uses his personal matrix to weaponize his fan base against those who speak out against him. A perfect example of this is what he did to KSI. When Andrew got deplatformed, KSI tweeted, "Thank God Andrew Tate got banned," and Andrew and his team's response to this was to try and get JJ cancelled. This is a message from Luke, Andrew's cousin, in their old Hustlers University chat, which reads,
"Going to make a KSI cancelled bounty as well. The world needs to know KSI is a hypocrite who has done horrible things and that he should be cancelled himself. This is the counter-attack."
So I did notice, I think it was around August, I was getting like a huge amount of hate. It was kind of weird. I was like, all of a sudden I had people trying to bring up my past.
So Andrew and his boys are using their propaganda machine to engage in the same cancel culture garbage that they sit for hours on end criticizing. They're launching targeted harassment campaigns on people whose only crime is saying things that they personally dislike.
Isn't there a pang of hypocrisy there?
Well, there's a degree of hypocrisy, but I'm going to be hypocritical, and the reason for that is because I'm rich.
Unfortunately for Andrew, being rich just isn't an excuse to be this hypocritical.
I would never shout for any of the people who disagree with anything I say to be silenced or canceled. I don't think that helps the world.
Those words mean absolutely nothing coming from Andrew, because putting JJ aside, Andrew has an undeniable track record of trying to censor those who speak out against him through doxing and harassing. For example, in August of 2019, Andrew got into a Twitter argument with a man named Mike Stutchberry. Now, I'm not defending this guy at all. As you can see here, this person has tweeted 100,000 times, which is a mental illness. Andrew tweets all day, every day. He never stops, and he's tweeted about 13,000 times. So realistically, anything above that, you should be caged. Yet, this guy Mike has somehow managed to achieve 8 times that. But Andrew got so angry at this Twitter-addicted loser that he actually showed up at his house and posted pictures of himself outside of Mike's home.
So he started running his mouth to me on Twitter because he didn't let me tell him the truth about the world, tell me I'm misogynist and all this shit, and just run his mouth to me. And by absolute freak coincidence, I didn't even try. Someone's like, you know he lives in Luton, right? I was like, no.
Which is where you were
from? He's like, yeah, he lives in Luton. I was like, and then I was going back to London because I just bought a new Aston Martin, thanks to Jess. You know, one of them things. You know, you leave Romania on the jet, you go, you pick up your new Aston, what's the first place you're gonna go? And I was like, you know what? By coincidence, he just wrote some more shit. Oh, hey, misogynist, feminist. I was like, fuck you. So I drove to his house, but I went and knocked on his door, and he had a full mental breakdown. Oh, he had a full mental breakdown.
Keep in mind, this isn't even someone Andrew knew or had some sort of personal beef with. Andrew just showed up at this nerd's house and doxed him with malicious intent, and Mike actually had to move because Andrew doxed him.
He actually moved house because of me. He did? Yeah, he left.
What?
Yeah, he moved house.
But look, we all make mistakes. Everyone's due for the occasional crash out every now and then. However, this unfortunately wasn't the only time Andrew did something like this to someone who was talking trash about him online. In January of 2022, Andrew got into a Twitter beef with a guy named @ColtyBra because he tweeted saying he would beat Andrew up, which is absurd because it's not even close to physically possible in this case scenario. For years of his life, Andrew used to practice beating people up for multiple hours a day. Nobody is beating him up unless they're also a pro fighter.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
But Andrew's ego got so damaged by this impossible statement that he immediately challenged this guy to a fight, and then, when Colton didn't accept, Andrew decided to post this guy's full home address in different tweets. Then he went on to post photos of Colton's mother and father and where they work. Then he allegedly sent his goons to Colton's house to try and intimidate him. And for the cherry on top, he then went on a podcast just to brag about how good he is at destroying his haters.
First I put his street name, then I put his house number, and then when guys turned up at his house, I had to fly some friends of mine from Vegas to LA. Like, I had to spend money on this. This took time out of my life. When he looked out the window and saw the SUV, then he starts apologizing on the internet like a little bitch.
Given the fact that what Colton initially said is just not possible, it's really not that big of a deal at the end of the day. If you want to do the back and forth thing, sometimes it's entertaining, most of the time it's not, but doxing and posting pictures of his parents and having people show up to his house, then threatening to sue his family into oblivion is way past the line of normality for online beef.
I don't need a reason. You're gonna have to defend yourself. Regardless, that's the thing about the American legal system. You cannot ignore it. I don't care if it costs me $1 million to take $1,000 out of your bank. You're going to be in court twice a month for the rest of your human years.
That clip gave me AIDS. I now have AIDS.
Fair, to be honest.
Watching this 35-year-old self-help guru brag about suing someone's entire family because he chose to dox him is just an absolute embarrassment to all of mankind. If the aliens saw this interaction, we would all get nuked, and I can't even say that it'd be undeserved. This is not the behavior of someone who should be giving self-help advice to anyone, specifically the youth, and all in all, it's just extremely unhealthy on all sides.
Now this might strike some viewers as harsh, but I believe everyone involved in this story should die.
Another way that Andrew weaponizes his fan base against those who dislike him is by directly telling his fans to defend him when people leave mean comments about him online.
I really want to make it clear when you're defending me to try and do it in a respectful way, because sometimes haters come at me and talk a bunch of garbage. I don't want any of my fans to come along and say, well, you're an idiot, you're ugly, you're this. If you're going to defend me, do it respectfully. Even if people hate me, even if they're insulting me, don't insult them back. Hate doesn't beat hate. It just creates a brick wall. If somebody says they hate me, explain to them calmly when they don't understand the context. Show them a longer format video.
Although he tried to qualify these statements by telling his fans to defend him in a respectful way, the message is still terrible. If Andrew chooses not to defend himself from someone, he clearly doesn't care. Otherwise, he'd respond himself. and if he actually cared about his fans, he would tell them that they probably shouldn't waste their time defending him on Twitter or in the comments section, regardless of how respectfully it's done.
These people are completely and utterly slave-minded, genuinely slaves. They live inside of a system, and the system they're going to purport and fight to defend is going to destroy them.
And these slave-minded bots don't even defend Andrew in a respectful way. They actually harass and attack the people who speak out against him. For example, in the beginning of 2023, Matt Shea and Vice made a documentary called The Dangerous Rise of Andrew Tate. And of course, Andrew's fans mass disliked this video, and more than a year and a half later, almost every tweet Matt makes, there's Tate fans calling him a DNG, which stands for dork, nerd, geek, and all sorts of other insults, which is clearly not defending Andrew in a respectful way. It is targeted harassment, and not once have I seen Andrew condemn his fans' harassment towards Matt.
Yeah, just keep in mind that if you leave any sort of negative comments, I'm going to be replying with your IP address.
Andrew and his team have also done targeted harassment campaigns on the alleged victims in his criminal case. Now, keep in mind, before Andrew was arrested, he used to always brag about how no woman has ever come out and said anything bad about him.
And what's actually a miracle, it's not a miracle, it's actually a testament to how nice a guy I am in general. Not a single woman's come forward. I have no accusations. No woman's come forward saying anything. There's a video and the girls come forward 3 times saying, listen, I'll take this, go. I have no criminal charges. There's no charges at all against me. I have not hurt any women. No women are coming forward saying anything. Zero. No criminal conviction. No criminal record for hurting women. There's nothing on the internet. I have no criminal record from any woman saying that Andrew is a bad person, misogynist, he did this to me. Not one. No criminal record. No girls come forward saying I've done anything to anybody. No victims of any kind.
And now that women have come out and said he's a bad guy, him and his team are actively trying to silence and harass those women. For example, in a tweet by Tate News, who Andrew has personally endorsed in the past, Tate News revealed the full name of one of the victims, doxed all her online pseudonyms, and posted screenshots of all of her active social media pages. And the only reason why they did this is so Andrew's fans would go and harass her. The victim's identity is supposed to stay anonymous. The reason why the indictment is redacted is to protect the victim's privacy and to prevent harassment or further victimization. And as you would expect, Andrew's fans did exactly that. This guy says her location is on Twitter. She has been targeted and will be taken care of soon. This guy says karma will come back at you for trying to destroy 2 innocent men, and you'll get what's coming to you. And these fans don't even know whether the Tates are guilty or not. That is up for the court to decide. But these geeks are just blindly defending their demagogue and attacking people on their behalf, which is irrational. Andrew has also posted this same victim in one of his Rumble videos that I've seen, but obviously I can't show that. He's also suing that same woman for defamation in Florida, and as of now, they're set to go to trial for that. But the judge in that case has ordered that the Tates are prohibited from sending texts, tweets, or making posts on social media that could be seen as intimidating witnesses. So even the judge himself is saying to stop harassing this woman publicly.
God put morality inside of all of us. They're godless creatures. They don't feel a fucking ounce of shame. None of them.
In my opinion, the most insane thing Andrew and his team have done occurred at a press conference held to highlight the harassment of the alleged victims in the Romanian criminal case. In a beautiful display of morals and ethics, Andrew's lawyer showed up and, you guessed it, started harassing people. Obviously, this systematic harassment goes way deeper than I have time to cover, but this Twitter account @CrayonsMurders has done a great job of covering things like this if you want to see even more. Update: in the process of me editing this video, a random Andrew Tate fan falsely accused Crayons of being a child predator, and as you can see, Andrew replied yes to this tweet, spreading this baseless claim to his massive audience. However, we have undeniable evidence that this isn't Crayons.
My newest coach today literally dropped some Jedi Master Yoda wisdom on me.
Then he transported them to Romania. He sheltered them in a house full of sex workers.
When he fussed at me,
he invoked false debts that the girls could never get out of.
This disproves this narrative 100%, as the 2 people in question sound nothing alike. Andrew later replied to this tweet claiming that Crayons works for an NGO, and once again provided no evidence to back that up either. What Andrew is trying to do here is systematically discredit his critics through lies, and I know that based on his cousin Luke's own admissions.
Whenever there's someone who made like a hit piece video on the War Room or anything negative about the War Room, right? There's some YouTube videos out there that exist. You always need to discredit the person who made the video. That is the key. You need to make the person who made the video be a liar. That's what you need to be. They need to be a geek, a dork, nerd, geek, liar. That's what they need to be. Someone who's completely not trustworthy. You need to destroy the source. There's no other way to do it. Because someone's lying. So it better be them, right?
And coincidentally, around the same time this all took place, Crayon's account also started getting botted, which was most likely a failed attempt to get him banned. So still to this day, Andrew and his personal matrix are coming together and trying to attack the people who speak out against them. And it really makes you wonder, what truth is Crayon's telling that Andrew is trying so hard to suppress? On another note, Andrew, or the MCN he works with, also sent me a false copyright claim for a video I made on Andrew when he first got arrested. Now, I don't know exactly what their intentions were with this copyright claim. It could be for doxing purposes, it could be that Andrew is going broke, or it could potentially not even be coming directly from Andrew. I don't know. But if Andrew has anything to do with this copyright claim, that is just rich, given the fact that he often pretends to advocate for free speech.
We need free speech. Free speech allows different ideas, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, everything I say is all the people on my side are completely right, all the people on the other side are completely right. The truth is usually somewhere in the middle, but if you delete one side of the argument, you never get the truth. Yeah, that's why it's so important.
I agree with him 100%. We need free speech, but I also think that anyone who disagrees with my subjective opinions should be harassed, doxed, and cancelled. Andrew really is the best type of free speech advocate. On one hand, he gets all the credit for supporting free speech from the more gullible Republicans who will believe just about anything if it fits their political agenda.
Michelle Obama has a giant
But on the other hand, he's also issuing false copyright claims on the people who make videos on him, or he's using his fans in coordinated attacks, or he's showing up to their houses or press conferences, or he's doxing them and their families. So whether or not Andrew sent me this false copyright claim personally, clearly there is a pattern of behavior here which is completely different from what he says publicly.
I've read enough history books to know that the people who do the censoring are never the good guys. And they've been censoring a lot of arguments for a very long time in the name of good. They are weaponizing virtue, and it's always in the name of tyranny. Anybody who is out here trying to silence an entire side of an argument on any subject, whether it's COVID-19, immigration, anything else, they are the evil people who are out for absolute mind control of the populace.
Any of these fake accounts who constantly insult me and spread bullshit, they're also going to be in court for defamation. In 10 years, when this is all over, and I've forgotten about it and moved on, all these people are going to be in court, struggling for their lives, paying legal bills, trying to defend themselves, or endlessly trying to defamate me because I've done nothing wrong.
Nobody can save you but me, because I am the most perspicacious, compendious, top G, top striker. I've seen all of this coming. I've prepared for all of it. Nothing can happen on the planet that doesn't make me richer. You are poor. You cannot stop me. I'm that guy. You need my help. You have two choices. You either sell your soul to Tate and say, I accept Tate is all-knowing. I will listen to you inside of Puzzles University. Please save me. Or you go back where you fucking started, Wagey. Someone has to fucking flip the burgers, dumbass.
Andrew Tate is the greatest fake guru in the history of the world. Now, it's not like that's some sort of monumental achievement. It really doesn't take that much knowledge to be able to repurpose information and talk out of your ass for a living.
It's called not knowing what you're talking about. I'm the king of it. I do it all the time.
But I have to give some credit where credit is due. Andrew has taken the works of Dan Lok, Kai Lopez, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, and somehow managed to make it cooler.
You need to change your mind. Scarcity is a mindset. You live in a scarce world. I live in a world of abundance. Do you see how much muscle I have? How many bitches? How much cash? Supercars, living in fucking mansions. Because I'm more like you. And you need to be more like me.
Okay, I don't know about cooler, but he really did revolutionize the fake guru game. The only reason why anyone even knows who Andrew Tate is in the first place is because he is a fake guru. The reason why he tweets all day every day, goes on other people's podcasts all the time, and makes videos on Rumble is because he's trying to sell courses. And to his credit, Andrew revolutionized online marketing in 2022. Essentially, what he did was sell his $50 a month course, The Real World, previously named Hustlers University, and his fans would post videos of him, and when someone signed up under their affiliate link, his fans would make commission for each new sign up. He was somehow able to convince his followers to pay him $50 a month to promote him and his content online, and they were getting paid scraps on the back end. And this affiliate marketing strategy is the only reason why anyone even knows who Andrew is. Andrew has been making content consistently since 2016, when he and his brother started a series called The Hateful Tates, but it never really took off, nor did Andrew's fame. The guy was a Z-list fake guru who would do and say just about anything for attention before he blew up.
The only water I drink is sparkling water, because sparkling water is for rich people. You know what? So many women say to me, "You're so, Andrew, you know what? You're so rich, but you're smart, and you're actually very intelligent, and I know you get really bored of a robot." And I'm sitting there thinking, I wish to God you were a robot. Who the fuck drives a Tesla? There's no man alive in a Tesla I couldn't keep the living fuck out. I will drag you from your Tesla by your neck in front of your bitch, and you won't do nothing. What kind of full-grown adult deliberately, non-accident, deliberately eats sushi?
Breathe air! You don't need a date! Have you ever seen anyone with a vape?
And I think that's part of what makes this strategy so smart. Andrew had years of backlogged yapping that his fans could repost for free and make money off of. And obviously it has worked. As you can see here, two of the other most popular fake gurus that I can think of, Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez, haven't been able to achieve even a fifth of Andrew's fame, and he didn't even have to do a majority of the work himself.
Oops, I'm a genius.
So his entire business model was literally built off of exploiting the exact same people that he claims to be helping.
I've got all your backs. I'm here to tell the truth. I'm martyring myself. They're trying to destroy me and put me in jail because I'm standing up for you.
You're wrong! But there was one major problem with Andrew's strategy. He used to constantly admit to committing crimes on video, and a lot of the proof I've shown in this video has actually been posted by Andrew's fans themselves in an attempt to market his courses. And given the fact that Andrew knew that he's probably done some shady stuff in the past, and that when he first decided to utilize this affiliate marketing strategy, he knew he was currently being investigated by the Romanian government, it was actually delusional for him to use this strategy to try and become famous. He was paying people to post clips of him to try and go viral, but he had no way to filter or curate those clips. For most people, that's totally fine, but if you're Andrew Tate, that is a recipe for disaster.
April
That was her name.
That was her name. And I was like, you're hot. So I messaged her. She's like, I'm only 16. I was like, give a fuck. I know about me. 21, I don't care. Once you're 18, if you want to get yourself a real man, I know a guy.
You do?
I do, yeah. I do know a guy.
You know, you said it looks like I'm in a teenage girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
To some people, that would be an insult, but to me, I find that quite flattering, to be honest.
I walked in there and said, listen, I've committed multiple felonies. Am I going to go to jail?
Logically, if you know you've done potentially illegal things in the past, and you know that you've admitted to them on video, it's best to just be as low-key as possible. There is no rational way you can explain Andrew's actions in the order that he did them. Andrew is genuinely an idiot who thought that he would never get in trouble for anything.
If I fuck up, England wants me in jail, I could fly on a Nigerian passport, or an American, or an English, or a Polish, or an Estonian. I have so many passports. What, are you gonna block them all? They can't stop me traveling. There's always a passport I can pull out. There's always a driver's license I can pull out. If you ban one, I've got another one.
So, although the end result of him using this strategy was extremely profitable, it also exposed his potentially illegal activities to a global audience.
You're dumb as fuck! You're a moron!
And if you really look into his past and really pay attention to the way he talks, Andrew is nothing but a stereotypical fake guru who's just become the most successful at it, and he has been scamming people for years now. The most profitable scam Andrew currently runs is The Real World, which I mentioned earlier. It's essentially just regurgitated information that teaches the basics of online businesses like copywriting, e-commerce, stocks, and crypto trading.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
It sounds like a bunch of commie gobbledygook because that's exactly what it is. I was able to gain access to some of the courses without paying for it because I'm a genius, and in my opinion, The Real World really isn't the worst thing out there, but my issue with it is the fact that there isn't much information provided that you can't find online for free. For example, if you want to learn e-commerce, there are hundreds of people on YouTube who will teach you how to make money doing e-commerce who don't need to charge you $1 because they get paid in ad revenue. If if you're gonna buy any sort of course, it probably shouldn't be for something extremely vague, like the real world, where they're trying to teach you 20 different things at once. Ideally, courses should be for niche things that are hard to learn online for free. For example, Andrew's Pimping Hose degree actually used to offer some really good advice.
Also notice I put cherries on there when I said, why, where are you hiding? Why did I put cherries? Who the fuck knows? Your guess is as good as mine. It just makes my messages different. Because no one gets messages with cherries. If you motherfuckers start putting cherries in your messages, I'm gonna come over and beat the fuck out of you. It's my thing. Choose a different fruit.
See, if you just pay $400 to learn how to put cherry emojis in your Instagram DMs, it's basically a shortcut to getting laid.
Yo, Andrew Tate! Andrew Tate, man, I'm loving your content, bro. Thank you so much, Andrew. You're making me pull all the girls, bro. It's all thanks to you.
Anyways, the target demographic for the real world are young men who, ironically, haven't really entered into the real world yet. Andrew's handler, Iggy Semmelweis, aka Merle from Wizard 101, said himself on Twitter that their primary demographic is school-aged boys aged 12 through 18. So they're aiming for people who are young, gullible, and still figuring life out.
Hi Andrew, my name's Ryan, and I'm 12 years old, and I was wondering if I'm old enough to start making money with the real world. Thanks, bye.
And I don't have a bad thing to say about those kids, but I have a lot to say about Andrew, because the fact of the matter is, for most people, things like copywriting and e-commerce are not good strategies to make a lot of money. The real way to make money off of those things isn't by actually doing those things, it's to build an online brand which centers around self-improvement and find people who've been disenfranchised in one way or another and convince them that they need to buy this new course of yours if they want to become successful.
A guy's sitting there right now watching this and I got my last grand, dude, and I got Christmas coming. Should you spend it on me?
Absolutely. As the old saying goes, those who can't do, teach. The reason why fake gurus like Andrew and Grant Cardone don't spend their days drop shipping or crypto day trading is because it's infinitely more profitable for them to just sell courses to other people on how to do those things. And the end result of that is that most customers don't even make a decent return in a majority of cases. And I'm not just speculating when I say that. Here's a screenshot from the real world which shows the top 25 highest earners in the last 24 hours in one of their campuses. And as you can see, the 25th highest earner made $65, and according to their own website, they have about 113,000 students. So this proves definitively that the average student in the real world is making less money per day than someone who works at Arby's making Meat Mountain sandwiches on a Tuesday afternoon.
No school, no business school, no university will guarantee you month on month you make out more than you put in. None, only mine.
But I think the real reason why Andrew sells the real world for only $50 a month is so he can funnel his students into his more expensive courses. This is known as the foot in the door sales technique, and this works because most people aren't making more than they're spending in the real world, so after Andrew gets their foot in the door, he capitalizes on their initial investment to sell them additional products so he can extract the most amount of money from each person. For example, Andrew just started selling something called The Council.
So I'm sitting here at my table, making very important decisions. That's what you do when you're in the highest echelons of masculine capability. You make very important decisions. And I've decided that I now want a council. A council from the real world. Because as our power continues to grow, we're now reaching a point where we can move Earth.
Dude, what the f***? Why are you f***ing here, man? You're so old. Where's your wife? Go home to your family, dude.
The Council is supposed to be some sort of a secret society inside of the real world where you can apparently influence the direction of the platform, connect with the professors personally, and on top of that, you get the special privilege of helping Andrew pump and dump garbage meme coins.
Because the easiest money play in history is to join the real world for $49. Get your tokens and wait for them to go up. So what I think we should do is, we should link the amount of tokens you get in an airdrop to your status within the real world. Members of the council will get the most.
and join the council via the courses tab.
Andrew is charging $2,000 a year for this trash, and unfortunately, this isn't the only upsell. The guy has a scam for every budget. So he also sells something called the War Room for the low price of only $8,000. And according to the website, the War Room is a global network in which exemplars of individualism work to free the modern man from socially induced incarceration.
Well, let's just say the knowledge of the words are too high for me right now, so I'm gonna just say no.
They keep the marketing for the War Room intentionally vague to build some sort of mystique around it, but before Andrew was arrested, I think it was just a group of men getting together and plotting how to get women into webcam and OnlyFans for financial gain.
Inside of the War Room, I teach what I know. And if you are interested in learning how to run girls on OnlyFans, how to run girls on webcam, how to make money the way I do, then get inside the War Room.
So you guys understand, inside of the War Room, we have a specific room for webcam and OnlyFans. So inside the War Room, there's over 90 guys making money with webcam, and over 50 guys making money with OnlyFans. All the guys that make money with these systems are in a chat group, talking in real time, helping each other all the time. So if you do want more support, if you see yourself making money with this, you start to make some money, you want to talk to other guys doing the same thing, give you tips, tricks, advice, etc., join the War Room, and after you join, you'll instantly be added into the correct groups.
After the arrest, Andrew has tried distancing himself from the War Room, and of course they're now claiming it's about self-improvement and all that other garbage, but in reality, it's just a bunch of BS designed to lure vulnerable people in to later upsell them into more garbage.
So you join the War Room, you pay a set price. And then there are events, and they make a lot of money off the back end of the events. If you speak to a salesman, they'll be like, the War Room's complete, you don't need to pay anything, there's no obligation to buy anything once inside, and technically there is no obligation.
So the War Room offers members other courses which cost even more money, and the leak chats we've got hold of back this up. The Operator course, for instance, is offered for £2,000 a head, and it's claimed to have had 300 plus graduates. So that's 600 grand in income.
And the margins are actually really, really huge because some of the events maybe cost $500, maybe $1,000 per head to run it, and they'll charge you $12,000, $18,000 on the back end. So times that by like 40 or 50 people, loads of money to be made. There's actually quite a few members who put in excess of $250,000 towards these courses, towards these events, which is a lot of money. The best customers in marketing are repeat customers.
But in my opinion, the absolute worst thing about any of Andrew's courses nowadays isn't even the content of the courses itself, but the black-pilled fear-mongering that he constantly spouts in an attempt to sell more courses.
Unfortunately now, if you're a law-abiding man inside the Matrix, your future and the life that is laid out for you is nothing but depressing. You're going to go to school, you're going to get in debt, you're going to get a job, you're going to get a wife, divorce is coming, you're going to lose the house eventually, your job's shit, inflation's outpacing your wages, you're going to work, no one's going to appreciate it, now you're old and your life's over. That is the Matrix for 99% of men. And you need to find a way to escape it.
The way Andrew's sales pitch is set up, he has a monetary incentive to scare people into believing all the systems in today's society are corrupt and destined to collapse.
The educational system's a scam. The financial system's a scam. The judicial system's a scam. The medical system's a scam.
He almost sounds like me a little bit. Everything he personally dislikes is just a scam. But whether or not any of the fear-mongering he does is even true, it means nothing coming from Andrew. Because he isn't saying these things out of the kindness of his heart. He probably doesn't care about society and how to fix it. He's saying these things because he wants to scare people into buying his proposed solutions to these problems.
Facial recognition on every corner, like I said. 50-minute cities, like I said. They'll control your money, they'll control where you go, they'll control who you can fly or not, they'll control your food. The AI is going to be a little camera in the corner, linked to your mobile phone and your national ID. Once a lot of the populace become useless, which is going to happen by AI as well, all the low-skilled jobs are going to be replaced. The average man's not going to be able to compete in the labor market. That's right, so it's going to be a form of communism where you need the government to feed you. They're going to control you, they're going to get you by the back strings, and they're going to strangle you.
Society's broken. So it's kind of amazing how my solution, Hustlers University, an online educational platform.
The thing is, Andrew doesn't have the solution to anything. Making less money than a backup janitor doing dropshipping part-time isn't helping anyone escape the Matrix. Andrew himself has made more money than most ever will. Yet, he was thrown in a jail cell for what he claims was a Matrix attack. So by his own definition, he hasn't even escaped the Matrix himself. So whether or not these predictions are true is irrelevant, because his motivation in saying those words is to make vulnerable young people feel compelled to buy his courses.
Any man out here with any kind of money, you have my network, which is the War Room, which is the premier network in the world, and besides us, I don't think there's anything else, but you need to be very, very understanding of the fact that if you're going to stay inside the Matrix and be a fully law-abiding citizen for the next 10 years, you're going to be crushed.
Yeah.
You're going to be crushed.
So in terms of future jobs that you would like to do after you graduate, what are you looking for?
I'm an Andrew Tate fan, so jobs are for losers.
Pardon?
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah. The Romanian guy.
Ball bank.
Tell me why you want to be like Andrew Tate.
He says like save the Matrix. Matrix is like a bubble made by the government. Like just to be in there, to be slaves, they give you money to work for them at 9 to 5. That's it. I want to get rich.
It's a scare tactic that he uses against his fans to try and create dependency on his solutions. If those are his genuine opinions, I don't care. But in this context, this nihilistic, defeatist attitude is only being verbalized for profit. And at the very least, if you're gonna be black-pilled, you might as well just go all in.
My family, your family, none of us are going to make it. There's a post-human era coming, the breakaway civilization, the deal's been made. It's not It's not the third dimension. They've made frickin' deals with interdimensional aliens.
Okay.
In all seriousness, obviously you shouldn't delude yourself from the realities of the world, but as Andrew himself often says,
I refuse to believe in things that take my power away from me. I'm only going to construct a mental model that allows me to be as powerful as possible.
The guy who goes on 20-minute rants on every podcast about how depression isn't real because it doesn't benefit his mental state is also the most defeatist and pessimistic loser on the entire internet. And over an extended period of time, I would assume that this behavior makes people feel hopeless and, dare I say, depressed.
You need to get out of the Matrix, my friend. You're a slave in the Matrix. You need to get out. You need to join my Hustlers University. What's your credit card info, my friend?
Besides the real world, my favorite Andrew Tate scam that no one ever talks about is the formidable Forex powerhouse course that he used to sell back in 2019.
I keep getting asked. People keep saying to me, Andrew, why have you launched a Forex trading academy when you already had the Bitcoin War Room Trading Academy? What's the difference? Well, the difference is obviously crypto and Forex. The War Room Trading Academy, you can make a lot of money, but you need a deeper understanding of cryptocurrencies. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, look, I'm old school. I don't care about cryptocurrency. I want my money in dollars. I'm very comfortable with my money where it is. I don't want to start buying Bitcoin, moving things around, etc., etc. I want to make money. Is there anything you can do? Yes, you can do the Forex. That's the entire point of it. You're making so much money in the Forex program, I'm going to give you something that I didn't give anyone for the Bitcoin program.
Yeah, all of that is complete and utter garbage. If we take a look at the forums on forexpeacearmy.com and look up Andrew Tate, almost everyone who claims to have bought the course says that it was a complete scam. According to the people on the forum, this was a $2,000 course where they weren't even teaching any sort of technical analysis. Andrew was just selling signals, so they were basically just telling people when to buy and sell certain currencies, which is a horrible idea. If you're going to trade any sort of commodities, you need to actually learn the fundamentals of how to trade, not just copy other people's trades. Andrew was also straight up lying in the marketing for this program. He claimed to have a professional trading team from Dubai on a $1 million retainer, which was a complete lie. There's evidence that shows that they were copying trades from another Forex signals group called Gold FXCC. Here they copied this trade word for word just 8 minutes after. They copied this trade 3 minutes after, this trade 2 minutes after, and again, this one 2 minutes after. So based on the evidence, these probably aren't all just coincidences. Their entire business model was most likely just buying another person's service and selling it at a large markup.
It's all a scam.
It's on black and white.
It's all the Matrix. It's all a scam.
I agree. In this marketing email, he also claimed that the alleged trading team had an average winning ratio of 80%, which is an offensively bad lie. If the trading team was that good, he wouldn't be wasting his time writing essays to email to people to try and sell courses. He'd be trading Forex 24/7, and he'd probably be a trillionaire by now. It was also alleged that the only way you could get a refund was by following their exact trades and risk management for a year straight, but the problem with this is that you would just lose all your money before the year was over, because in the paragraph above this customer states that the alleged trading team were red on 15 trades in a row, which is impressively bad. So I think it's fair to say this Forex Trading Academy was just a straight up scam. And hypothetically, if this weren't a scam and Andrew did deliver on everything he promised in that course, why wouldn't Andrew still be selling this exact same product for the exact same price today? It was a digital product. If it worked like he said it would, there would be no need to stop selling it. But instead, he removed all traces of this course from the Internet Archive, and to the best of my knowledge, he hasn't even bothered offering a refund to any of the people who bought this course from him after not delivering on almost any of his promises.
We just need to instigate a culture of receipts, and we need to instigate a culture of honesty.
As we all know by now, Andrew is a very honest man, And that is exactly why he also happens to have a very shady track record in crypto. Now, no one should be surprised that Andrew Tate is also a crypto scammer on top of all the other stuff. In fact, if he were just a crypto scammer, he'd somehow manage to be more righteous than he actually is. But back in May of 2023, Andrew posted this tweet, which at the time was his only tweet ever, which included a cash tag. And then someone immediately launched a crypto coin using the same cash tag that Andrew tweeted. And of course, the coin got pumped and dumped and is now down 99%. And what makes this promotion suspicious to me is that about an hour later, Andrew tweeted again using that same cash tag, essentially saying that he didn't know someone would launch a coin with the same name that he just so happened to use in his tweet, which is a complete lie. And Andrew knows that for a fact.
If I type a word on Twitter, millions of dollars go into tickers based on that word. If I say certain things on camera, millions of dollars move. Do you understand my power? I'm a genie!
So, although Andrew might not have created Splut's token himself, he did in fact promote it to his fans, it got pumped and dumped, and it's now down 99%. Then, he pretended to be ignorant about the fact that he was promoting a coin to his 9 million plus followers on Twitter. He didn't trip and fall and write the cash tag in 3 different tweets. No non-virgin is out here promoting random meme coins or NFTs just for fun or as a joke. The only logical reason someone would do that is because it personally benefits them in one way or another. And this wasn't the only time Andrew used crypto to benefit himself. In February of 2024, Andrew tweeted this, which essentially says that he's going to launch a coin backed by $100 million of his own money, and he'll let the real world members in early so they can make money. And at the time, he didn't even bother actually following through with this. So either he didn't even have the balls to scam his fans once he got some pushback for it, or what I think is that it was a deliberate lie to get people to sign up for the real world, because he later deleted this tweet, and when he was asked about it in an interview a few weeks later, he said this.
Are you going to launch your own crypto? No, I'm never going to launch a crypto. I just like the crypto shit. Because crypto Twitter are the biggest degenerate losers on the planet. They're losers. Crypto is the only scenario I can think of where you can make a whole bunch of money while benefiting society zero.
So although he didn't scam his fans with the specific crypto coin in this case scenario, he did lie in writing, then deleted the evidence, and then didn't offer a refund for anyone that signed up based on the false pretense that he would launch the coin. And this wasn't even the only time Andrew used a lie to get people